Christ is risen. Welcome to St. John's. It's Easter week. We had the most beautiful acts of worship over the great 3 days. It was such a relief and such a joy to be able to meet here in person. Many of you would still have been online, and we were really aware of that, and so we continue to pray for those who are unable to be with us and those who worship at a distance but find some affinity with St. John's. We have this increasing sense of being a community that is spread literally across the world. So, Easter joy to all of you. Today I'm standing next to the Paschal candle, the Easter candle. It's the candle that we first light at the beginning of the Easter Vigil service. It's still dark when the candle is lit. And when it is brought into the cathedral, because it's lit outside around as we stand around a fire, as it's brought into the cathedral, it really is the source of light in this entire space. And then the light is spread throughout the congregation, and we sit together in that light to listen to the story of salvation, of God's love for the world, and of God transforming the world through the presence of Jesus and the resurrection of Jesus. So into the candle is built some really interesting and beautiful symbolism. Firstly, the symbol of light. It is the light of the resurrection, the light of Christ, and our baptismal light, the call that each of us receives when we are baptised to be a light in the world. And no matter how small we think our light is, even a little bit of light makes a difference in the darkness. Also in the candle, always on a candle, there's an alpha and an omega, the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet, to remind us that Christ is all-encompassing. There's always the date, 2021, to remind us that Christ is a present reality as well as spanning all of time. The candle also contains 5 nails. These are incense nails. Each nail has a little piece of incense in it to remind us that the wounds of Jesus are sweet and beautiful in that they remind us of God's love for us, even in the midst of times of agony, trial and abandonment. And they're placed in the cross in such a way that they remind us of the wounds that Christ received, the crown of thorns, the nails in his wrists and his ankles, and in the centre, the wound from when his side was pierced with a spear. So a lot of symbolism built into just a very simple piece of wax, really. And of course it's decorated beautifully to remind us of Easter joy. And the candles we use here at St. John's are always decorated with Australian wildflowers to remind us that Christ is a present reality in Australia. As I mentioned at the beginning, it was a wonderful thing to be able to worship here in person over the great 3 days. Of course, it was very touch and go. The lockdown only finished a few hours before the Maundy Thursday service. It takes a lot of people, a lot of work to make the liturgies as seamless as they are. So I'm very grateful to the cathedral office team and all the people who contribute to the development of the service notes, to the stewards who have an incredibly important job of making people feel welcome, and in COVID times, in COVID times have a complex job because they have to make sure that we are providing a safe place as well as a welcoming place. And so I'm grateful to the stewards for the incredible work they put into achieving that. To the servers, a very dedicated group of people who come and help us make the liturgies work and flow beautifully. I'm constantly impressed by the way that deal with the complexity of the liturgies that we put on and do it in a way that is gracious and graceful. And then there's, of course, the music team and the choirs, and they do an amazing work over those 3 days, and Holy Week, of course, including Palm Sunday. So there's this huge sweep of emotional energy that goes into the liturgies and has to be reflected in the music. So I'm really grateful to them and for the work that they put in as well. It was a real privilege, and it's a real privilege to be here and to work with all those people. We were hoping tonight, Thursday night, to offer Acoustic Cathedral. Due to circumstances, the complexity of the way life is working at the moment, that's had to be cancelled. So hopefully we will be able to offer Acoustic Cathedral again in May. Copies of our community notices for April are available now. Copies are available here in the Cathedral if you want a physical form. Otherwise you'll find links on the Cathedral website community page that will take you to an electronic version. It's one of the best ways to stay in touch with what's happening in your cathedral. This week we have released a new podcast. This one is with Brian McLaren. Brian is an incredibly articulate author and someone who has an incredible capacity to reflect what the journey of faith looks like. His current book is Faith After Doubt, and helps us see how doubt is actually a positive contributor to the development of our faith life. If we think of everything evolves, and we evolve, our faith evolves, our understanding of the faith evolves, and sometimes it's the fact that we actually stop, pause and say, I doubt that, or I wonder what that could really be about, that it opens the doorway for us to move to the next phase of our faith experience. One of the pitfalls in the way the church often presents the faith is that when people feel like they are encountering doubt, they feel like they have to leave the faith community because the faith community seems to be so strongly supportive of one particular understanding of the faith, and so doubt becomes a sign that one doesn't belong. So Brian and the podcast crew would like to encourage anyone who is experiencing doubt to actually live with the doubt and to share your doubts. I think particularly here at St John's, one of the strengths of this community is that we do encourage people to ask questions and to live into the questions, and doubt is one of the things that triggers those questions. One thing I can assure you is the clergy team will never dismiss you if you come to them with a doubt or a question. And often we say, that is a fantastic question, I don't know the answer to it, and it's not about knowing the answer, it's about living into the question. And I personally think that sort of dialogue takes us into the most interesting of conversations. I enjoy them very much. Over the last 2 Sundays, the ABC has shown the short film A Legacy in Stone, which looks at the work of Ril Hinwood and especially her work producing the 13 statues that are on the west end of the cathedral. It'll be shown again on the ABC this coming Sunday at 11 a.m. It's already available on iView. And we also have copies of the DVD available. So if you'd like to buy one as a lasting memory of this significant project here at the Cathedral, we'll have copies available after worship on Sunday, and also you can buy them through the Cathedral shop or at Cathedral reception. It's a fantastic film. It's a privilege for us to have been part of that project, and it was also a beautiful thing that the Stalley family could help support the production of that film in memory of John, who was a dedicated guide, a passionate guide here at the Cathedral, and I'm sure would have delighted in the statue project. On Saturday we will be hosting Yoga for Peace. Ananda, a member of our Cathedral community, hosts and holds that space for the United Nations Young Professionals. But if you're anyone who's interested in yoga and doing yoga in this beautiful place and wants to see it as part of a peacemaking project is very welcome to join them. And on Sunday week, Sunday the 18th of April, we will be farewelling Kate. Kate has been an amazing contributor to the life of the cathedral community. Her work in the area of education has been absolutely fantastic. She's lined up some great programs for us and some great speakers for Wasting Time with God and the Mystics series. We will miss her greatly, but we do send her off with our blessing as she moves to Bundaberg. If you'd like to contribute to Kate's gift, you can find details in service notes or on the cathedral website. We have some birthdays. Please do remember to let us know about celebrations. It's a great delight to be able to celebrate each other. Birthdays is one of the ways to do it, but there are also wedding anniversaries, paying off your mortgage if you're ever so lucky. Things that we can celebrate together to remind ourselves that life is a gift and it is worth celebrating each other and the milestones of life. So birthdays this week, we have happy birthday to Heather Jayashina, Elodie Gersema, Rod Rogers and Christopher Goulet. Happy birthday to all those folks. The great thing about Easter is it goes for 6 weeks celebrating the resurrection, and the invitation during those 6 weeks is for us to reflect deeply on how we live into and express the Easter faith in a world that desperately needs to understand and hear about resurrection and to be engaged with by communities that want to help people to flourish. Peace be with you.